Hello, it's John Gibbons here with Neil Atkinson, and this is a show we do called The Squad. So we did it in the summer after the transfer window closed, just to look at what Liverpool had between then and the rest of the season, and we've done them again. So we've just recorded them 3 episodes. So we've got the forwards, we've got the midfielders, and we've got the defenders. We enjoyed them, they were really good. So we decided to put one out for free. So they're normally all subscriber shows. Decided to put one out for free today in place of Talking Red. So this is the forwards. So you've got the sexy lads up first for free, but if you enjoy it, the midfielders is coming out later for subscribers, and the defenders out tomorrow as well.
Download the app to get all of those shows and everything else that we do at the Anfield Wrap. It is a fantastic time for this football club, really. I've just gone through these players. They're all brilliant. I can't wait to watch them all. It will be the absolute business from this point until the end of the season. Liverpool can win 4 trophies. This is what being on the march feels like. Enjoy it whichever way you're doing it, but enjoy it with us.
This is the forwards. Hello, it's The Squad. It's John Gibbons here with Neil Atkinson, and this is a show we did in the summer after the August transfer window closed, just to assess what we had. And we thought it'd be good fun to do it again after the January transfer window, where Liverpool did do a bit of business, just to look at what Liverpool have got to play with between now and the end of the season. So we're going to start with the forwards. Should we get stuck in?
We should get stuck in because there's so many of them.
Well, we've laid them all out. Well, there's 1 or 2 that are up for discussion over whether they're even forwards now, or whether they're sort of, to be, used as such between now and the end of the season. But we'll start with them. So we've got 9 on there. So he's moved there. We'll go with the traditional front 3 first. So we've got Sadio Mane there on the left. We've got Mo Salah on the right, and we've got Bobby Firmino. Obviously, there's a little bit of discussions had whether Diogo Jota is now considered first choice, but we'll go with them 3 for now. And then we've got our new guy, Luis Diaz, there. I'll put alongside, and then we've got these 4. So we've got 2 youngsters. We've got Harvey Elliott, who's maybe considered more of a midfielder now. You would have thought, but we still got him here. We've got Kate Gordon, who has to be considered now. He's got a first team goal, and he's played, in big games for Liverpool. Started the League Cup semi-final, of course. And we've got these 2 lads, Neil, who maybe would have expected one of them to move on, Minamino and Origi, but they're both still here.
I expected one of them to move on. I think it's tricky to see entirely whether you even get on the bench. I mean, to sort of go through what you've got here, let's say that is the front 3 for a given game. You would then expect Diaz to be on the bench and to be backing up Mane in particular. You've got Jota in there as well, backing up Firmino, but also can come and back up on this side too. It therefore becomes... If those 2 are on the bench, even with a bench of 9, you end up being a little bit like, well, it's quite difficult to see the room for one more forward on there. You've got to have a goalkeeper on there. You would think you expect Gomez and Konate to quite regularly be on the bench if Matip and Van Dijk are the centre-half partnership. And then you move forward and you're in a situation where I think Milner will always be on the bench for him if he's fit, because he feels as though Milner can do something. When you then look at midfield, there's 2 or 3 midfielders that are likely to be on the bench. It just becomes a little bit difficult, and I think especially for Minamino. Because if you're Minamino, Origi, you're at least able to say he's able to do something no one else is. But if you're Minamino there, I don't quite see how you manage to get yourself in the queue ahead of Diaz and Jota for a bench place. I really don't. I think it's very difficult.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you think the one who has the best chance of being one of the subs, it would be Divock Origi, just because of what he's proved off the bench and stuff like that. So if you have him as sort of the 6, and you say, well, those 3, are likely to be on the bench, then... Kate Gordon, has been used this season. I'm sure won't mind too much not being part of the matchday squad. Harvey Elliott, we'll wait and see. He's still not been in a matchday squad yet, but he's got the versatility that the likes of Chamberlain have got. That this guy hasn't really. I think he'll struggle to make first team squads this season unless we've got a bit of an injury crisis up top.
Yeah, I think there might be a couple. For instance, I expect to see him in the matchday squad. I expect Gordon and Minamino to be in the matchday squad against Cardiff. I think if Liverpool then get a certain 5th round of the FA Cup draw at home, I think both of them could make the matchday squad in there as well. And when they make the matchday squad, certainly if the game's going well, I'd expect the manager to give them some game time. I think then you've got the idea of, sometimes when you get to the quarters and semis of the Champions League, you've got that weird game in the gap. That's, where if it depends on what's on the line on that game. But, if Liverpool are either well cleared at the top, which we hope but probably won't be, or slightly more likely, but I don't think either, a sort of 8-9 points behind Manchester City at that point, you might see quite markedly weakened Liverpool sides playing those weekend games. But I can't quite see where it comes from at all for either of them. Okay, Gordon, that's not a problem. He's probably had more first team football than he may have expected this season. For Minamino, I think it is a little bit of a problem with the World Cup on the horizon. But the thing about the World Cup on the horizon point is it's not till November.
Yeah.
So it's then an idea that he can get himself, a move in the summer and be match fit in time for the World Cup on the horizon. I think one of the things this does is Elliott's now just over here.
Yeah.
Let's not worry about that. We'll talk about him in the midfield shake-up. You look at this 6 with these 2 behind, I don't think we've ever had attacking options this good.
No.
And I think there's always a bit of a shout for me for that sort of 2000, 2001, 2002 Houllier team when he had Owen, who was winning the Ballon d'Or, it's worth remembering, Fowler, Heskey.
And then Yari comes in.
Yeah. Yari comes in. When Fowler goes out, Anelka comes in. For me, that's always felt like a thing. And even backing them up, you had Paddy Berger and Vladimir Schmidtson and a couple of others who were a bit more between the lines-ish sort of footballers. Yeah. That was incredible. We've never had riches like this in attack, and I would say that there's no other side in the country that's got riches like this. I think Manchester City, they've got a lot of incredible footballers who you class as attacking midfielders, but Mo Salah is the top scorer in the country. Diogo Jota is the second highest scorer in the country. Roberto Firmino is a better number 9 than anything Manchester City have got, I would say, because they've got.
I think his goals to minutes ratio this season is phenomenal as well.
Is phenomenally high. Divock Origi is better than their second best. Liverpool have got forwards. Manchester City have got attacking midfielders, is my point. And for me, listen, they can still win the league with that because I'll say it again, they're phenomenal footballers and they're making that work for them, and it's part of how they're killing games. But Liverpool should be killing games with goals. It's as simple as that. The best way to kill a game is to get yourself 3-0 up. And you look at this every single time Liverpool go on the pitch. Diaz scored 14 and 18 in the Portuguese league. You've got Diaz on 14 so far this season. Mane is in line with his expected goals, even though people feel as though he's underperformed in a couple of ways. Firmino, you just said goals to minutes. Jota's the second highest scorer in the country. Salah's the top scorer. This is outrageous. And the whole thing of, and if you look at the bench, with 70 on the clock and we need to change, Divock Origi is, it's phenomenal. It really is.
Okay, we've put Elliott over here. Let's get rid of sort of Keith Gordon for now, because I don't think we'll be expecting to see too much of him now between the end of the season, and we've said sort of similar to Minamino. I'll just put Origi off to one side as well, because I'm going to talk about starters for now. I think this season, pretty much what we've seen, I'll just take Diaz off as well because we're not seeing him this season, is that. And by that I mean one of those two. So we've seen Salah. I think he's played every game right wing. Mane, every game he started, has been left wing as well. And generally these two have played as a number 9 whenever, depending on who's been fit. Now Jota's played the odd gamer here. He played really well at Old Trafford there, and obviously recently he's had to play there a little bit as well with the African nations. But I would say that, and one combination of that, is generally what we've seen this season. I wonder whether Diaz coming in, now everyone's talking about Mane's position with Diaz coming in. I wonder whether we're going to see them move around a little bit more in the second half of the season. I don't know if you want to have some fun pulling people around but that's what I think will happen.
The thing I think you're going to see, and you're not going to see it straight away, but I think the thing you're going to see possibly at some point is this.
Yeah.
And the thing about what I mean by this is that at the point in the season where your man there's got the golden boot in the league locked up, which I think he's about 6 games away from, frankly, because I don't think anyone's going to clatter all the way through. I think there'll be a couple of times this season in certain league games, and he might have a look at it for a period of time as well, for half an hour here and there before he does it, where Mane goes back over to the right. And I think that's the thing that you're going to see. When Diaz is getting a few opportunities, and I think, again, this idea of games between it, hopefully we all are desperate to go through against Inter Milan. The idea of maybe in the FA Cup and in games against, in games in between quarterfinals and semi-finals, if the fixture falls nice, it wouldn't surprise me to see that for a period of time, either for 60 minutes in the game or for 30 minutes in a game. And I think that, that'll be off the basis of they want Salah to be absolutely at his very, very best for when they want him to be, when they feel they need him at his very best. So I think we'll see a little bit of that. The other thing I think we might see a tiny little bit of, frankly, at some point during games, is this.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that might be something that there's a look at between now and
I think he's great at 9, Sadio. I think he's great at 9.
Yeah. I think that the sort of the idea that won't happen to me. I don't know. I think that Liverpool, the next phase of looking at all of this, the big thing for me, both now, game by game, Cardiff on the horizon, Leicester on the horizon, thinking about April's matches, is there's a ton of flexibility. But I think Liverpool are giving themselves flexibility across the board. I think they're giving themselves flexibility about squad decisions in the summer.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool, I don't think anything's set in stone yet with this Liverpool side, other than the fact that I think that they'll be desperate for him to stay, and Klopp will be desperate for Salah to stay, as I'm moving him around. That Jota is part of the new move in amongst all of this and will feature a great deal.
Yeah.
I don't think the idea that either Mane or Firmino's futures are set in stone. I think it's possible both will stay and sign new deals. I think it's possible neither stay past the summer. I think everything's up in the air in a way that I think that we've got to be careful not to sort of talk ourselves into it's inevitable X, Y, or Z happens. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. One thing that I think we might see a little bit more of as well is I'll bring him on actually. We'll take Jota off for now. Is a bit more of that, and which is I'm saying 4-2-3-1 here.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons we've not seen more of it is he likes to have an option off the bench, and so I think he's done a little bit of 4-2-3-1. I think it's worked well on occasions, not so well on the others. I think 4-3-3 is generally a better formation for us, but I think he'd like a 4-2-3-1 option. And one of the reasons I don't think we've seen more of it is obviously there's been injuries, but also I think he likes having, we'll take Diaz off for now and put him in. I think he likes having one of these four, if they're all fit, to come on and change a game. So, where he hasn't had that, where he has now. And so I think for that reason we might see a little bit more of it.
So I think you're right, but I will move these around a little bit for when we do see it. I don't like Jota on the right, and I don't think it's worked. And sometimes when he's done 4-2-3-1, he's ended up with Jota on the right. I think if he's starting 4-2-3-1, I actually think it'll look like this. I think it'll look with Salah at 9. And I think this is where, so Diaz for Porto has done a lot wide left in a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And that's where, and he's been scoring his goals from a 4-4-2 position. And I think that's
he was quite deep for Colombia as well in that game that everyone watched.
And then he thought he didn't like him at all. And I think that you might well see Firmino behind Salah, Mane off the right, Diaz off the left, off the basis of the fact that if you're the Liverpool manager, then you're looking at that and you're going, I've got this much pace in wide areas. And you've got the idea that if you've got Mane, he can beat people on the outside then as well. And for me, that's what, and Diaz can beat people on the outside going one way, can cut in on the other. We've seen Mane cutting off the right. His first season playing for Liverpool, he plays off the right.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's another option that will be a live one for Liverpool. And even with this, you can then do one other thing. You could do Jota in where there with Salah is, but the other thing you can do is you can do this fella up front as well if you need to in a certain game. And then suddenly, the options are absolutely enormous. The idea of being able to play Origi up front in a 4-2-3-1, it may not happen, but if you're Jurgen Klopp at the minute, you're probably thinking to yourself, there might just be a game that pops up in April where, the derby, we've seen him do it in the past in the Anfield derby where suddenly he picks a bit of a mad team from left field. That team in the Anfield derby would not surprise you. The four we've got there right now, Mane off the right, Diaz off the left, Origi and Firmino up front, Salah not understanding why he doesn't get to play home derbies. And then there it is, and Liverpool, hopefully, you can imagine there being certain games where he just goes a little bit left field and the opposition get the team sheet and they'd be a bit like, fucking hell, who's playing where here?
Yeah. Okay. It's exciting though, isn't it? Do you know what I think about a lot? And I don't know whether it's because of the lockdown and stuff like that, but them lads, they play 3 miles up there and we get to watch them every week. 3 miles up the road, these lads play every week and we get to watch them.
It's absolutely wild that it is just there. Literally,
I should have to get on a plane to see Mo Salah play. And I know people do, and fair play to you.
Yeah, no,
but I do the same.
I couldn't respect it more that people do, and I'm right behind it that they do, and fair play to them, as you say, that they do. It's insane that basically I could, think the game against Leicester on Thursday, I could be sitting in ours at 5 p.m, and I could be at the ground walking by kickoff.
Yeah.
That is absolute. I'm not going to do that, by the way. I'm going to go for a pint and get a taxi, but it is absolutely insane to think that's what you've got on your doorstep. It was so lucky. And, for the rest of this season, it was interesting doing all the transfer stuff last night when we were working through it all. We're doing this on the Tuesday. And it was like one of the things that I was sort of taken from it. I was speaking to an Evertonian mate of mine before, and I was talking about Liverpool. I was saying, we are, at the very least, the second most fortunate club in the country. At the least, we might be the most fortunate. We'll see at the end of the season. But it is this idea, he was like, fucking hell, we'd swap places with you tomorrow. Yeah. And this is the thing. It's going to be great to watch these. It's going to be great to watch them all the way through the season. And as you say, you give anything to watch Mo Salah play footy, and we get to do it in person 30 times a year, 32, 34, 36 times a year. I mean, that's amazing.
And his mates aren't bad either. That was the forwards. We'll do the midfielders tomorrow. Enjoy.